Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in this week. We really do appreciate it here at Pulse Talk Radio. And just to let you know what you're in for this week's show. So this episode, we're going to be having a discussion about investigating the unknown. So we'll dive deep in with that in a moment. We're also going to be doing your channeling for this week as well, where a spirit communicator uses me as a vessel and brings forward the information that we need to know at this moment in time. And then later on in the show, you will have this week's forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through this week. So I'd like to invite you all, if you are interested in either taking part in this show, becoming a guest, or if you have any show suggestion and any ideas or a topic you would like me to discuss and explore, I'd like to invite you all to get in touch by going to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, and contacting me there, or you can contact me at my email address, glennboddice@live.co.uk. It would be absolutely fantastic to hear from you and have some interaction with you all as well regarding the show and you being a part of it in some way, shape or form. Okay, so let's make a start, shall we? So today, like I say, we're going to be talking about investigating the unknown. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about the world of spirit, the paranormal world, if you like, the things that go bump in the night or the day for that matter, because where spirit's concerned, there is no time. There just is. There's just now, isn't there? And so let's dive deep, shall we, with this topic. So, as you know, I'm a spiritual medium, and from time to time, I do get invited to go and attend either private residences, places of business, where they have had untoward, unexpected paranormal activity happening. And so they invite me to attend. But what I do say before I do turn up is I don't want to know all the details. I just want to know the fact that they've had some unusual activity. I don't need to know what it is or what time that happens, because that I feel is my job to tell them when I get there. Obviously, tuning in with my spirit guides and helpers, and also the environment as well. So I just like to know the bare minimum. Obviously, I need to know the location, but I won't do any research or anything like that. I like to be a blank canvas because I don't want to be influenced in any way, shape or form before I go and visit a property. So that's the first thing I do. When I arrive at the property, what I do is I do what I call an energy scan, and I trust my vibes implicitly. But before actually leaving my vehicle to look into the property, what I will do is a strong form of protection around myself, where I call in the archangels, I call in my guides, and I put myself in this protection bubble. That is necessary before you actually engage in any of these paranormal investigations. That is paramount, I feel. That's what I do anyway. So upon entering the building, I explain to the client that, don't tell me anything. Let me tune in and let me see what I'm picking up. So I tune into my intuition. I trust the feelings that I'm getting, and I express this to the client there, what I'm picking up. I then tell them where I'm drawn to in the property and what my guides are telling me. So what type of occurrences they've been experiencing, whereabouts those occurrences have been happening and the times. I also ask my guides to let me know about any if there's any portals, any energy portals there or vortexes. Now, these are basically holes in the matrix, if you like, where they've either been created through some sort of ceremonial practice, and this is one I don't recommend at all. And that is there's a lot of Ouija board activity that people use to communicate with energy and spirit on the other side. However, a lot of people don't know what they're doing with that, and they open up portals for, shall we say, lower based energies, frequencies, to enter the property and cause havoc, and basically pull the energy down of the occupants in the property, also make them feel tired, drain them of their energy, also cause just general mischief, really. It can be quite upsetting as well for some of the clients, because these energies can infiltrate your way of thinking and the way that you're feeling as well. So I don't recommend anybody trying the Ouija board at all, because even if you are an experienced, say, medium, I certainly wouldn't advertise it, because wherever there's that chance, that loophole for these lower bass frequencies to come through, they will grab that chance with all their might and they will come through. So the amount of work that I've had that's been connected with either that or another occurrences where I have encountered lost souls, people that for whatever reason have an attachment to that building, that property, and they are not quite ready to move on for the fear of being judged in some way, shape or form. So anyway, I connect with my guides and I bring forward more detail about what's been happening, about the location and what's been happening to the residents, and I describe that in as much detail as my guides let me do. But what I do recommend as well, and this is not just to anybody that's a medium or a paranormal, this is to everybody really, is I want you to trust your feeling, your gut feeling, because you may have heard rumors about the location, oh, it's haunted, this happened, that happened, and whatever. I want you to trust your vibes, because sometimes I've been to locations where they've said that this has happened, but in actual fact, it's not the case at all. There is a natural explanation for why it's been happening. It could be something like pipes of the radiators expanding and contracting due to the heat in the building. It could be down to plaster coming down off the ceiling. It might even be it could be magnetic energy, magnetic pressure caused by faulty wiring, for example. It could even be the Wi-Fi or the internet as well, because that obviously emits a signal, doesn't it? And for those people that are sensitive, they can pick up on that and assume that there's some unnatural phenomena happening in the property. So I want you to trust your gut and don't try and make it fit. If you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling that there is anything there, and you've explored all the natural reasons why these things could be happening in the property or in the location. So that would be the first thing, to inspect the property, inspect the area, and trust your vibes, like I say. So you want to be going around the property, you want to be walking on the floor, making sure that there's no creaks. Do doors squeak? Is there a draft there? Is there any loose wiring, like I've said earlier? Is there a rattling on the radiators, on the pipes? Is there an open window? Is there a crack in the window? Could it be plaster falling down? It could be numerous things. Is there a road nearby that you can hear in the property? Does that cause a vibration when the vehicles such as lorries and things like that pass the building? That could be adding to the phenomena as well, so-called phenomena. Is there a noisy neighbour? Can you hear through the walls? Can you hear a park in the background? All these things need to be taken into account before you invest any of your time and energy into exploring further with your spiritual gifts and your abilities. So make sure you're doing that. But also, like I say, whilst you are going around the property, trust your instincts always. So, if you're getting that feeling, if the hairs are standing up on the back of your neck, if you're feeling uncomfortable, ask your guides questions, or, ask internally questions, and be more analytical before you commit. Okay, so that's what I would advise anybody to do, whatever your level of expertise on an investigation, to do first. Inspect all the area, and maybe have a sheet of paper, if you're wanting to do this, or indeed a dictaphone, where you can record all this information before you start a paranormal investigation. So again, you're wanting to know, for example, you could say, well, the living room, it had a creaky floorboard as you walked in the door. And that would be on the investigation sheets there, just to let everybody know that if they are in that room and they're hearing that, that's already been accounted for. So you need to do all these, I believe they call them baseline checks, before you start an investigation. So I do that before committing to anything. What I do then is, I like I say, I have the conversation with my guides. I tune into the energy. The clients actually may say to you, look at this, I took this photo and I got these orbs. Okay. Now there's the thing I have with orbs, not everything is an orb. I mean, it looks nice. Some of them look really, really convincing on a digital camera, on a phone or something like that. And a lot of the time it is dust particles, and the way that the lens has captured that, with either the lighting as well, the lighting reacts on the dust particles, and the lens on the camera has zoomed into that as the light has hit that particle. It's made it its focal point, and so it's amplified it, and it looks like an orb. Now, that doesn't happen every occasion, but whenever you take a photograph and you say, oh, look, there's an orb, I want you to inspect it further. And what I mean by this, when I've done this myself, and I've captured when I'm looking at it, looks like an orb, I zoom into it. I zoom in on the phone or the computer, and I zoom right in, and I look into that circular orb, if you like, and I'm looking for additional information. When I see an orb, when I know it's an orb, and you zoom in, you can often see, it looks like, if anybody's familiar with the tie-dyed t-shirts, do you know the circles of a tie-dyed t-shirt, different colorations? If it's an orb, you'll see something like that within the center of the orb that you've captured. And on a few occasions, what I've also witnessed with true orbs is when you zoom into them and you take a good look at them, you will actually see a face forming, or at least trying to form, in the center of that bubble, that orb there. So these are two important factors to certainly consider before you say, oh, look, I've captured an orb. Zoom in, take a good look, and like I say, use those two rules of thumb before you commit to anything. There's usually like a glow about them as well. You'll see the circle, the orb shape, you'll see that patination inside as you zoom in. You may also, if you're lucky enough, see a face inside trying to form, and then you'll see that glow around the edge there as well. So always look out for that before committing to anything. What I will say is there's a lot of gadgets out there, electronics, isn't there, that help paranormal investigators and maybe have more of an understanding of what's happening around them. Now, I understand the passion in using gadgets. I understand the enthusiasm that is there, because it helps a lot of paranormal investigators make sense of things that they're not necessarily aware of. However, in my experience, I wouldn't rely on gadgets at all. Basically, I feel that there are somewhat of a distraction when you're on a paranormal investigation. And I'll give you one example of that. And that is I believe they call it the spirit box, where it tunes into white noise, and it almost picks up like radio signals intermittently. Okay, and there's this white noise. It's really, really overbearing. It's like shh, like that. And not only does it disrupt your sensitivity as a sensitive or a medium or a clairvoyant, whatever, but it also disrupts the energy within the environment that you are investigating. So it changes the energetic pattern of that, in my experience anyway. And from what my guides have said on investigations, they've steered me away from investigators that are using that equipment. They'll put me in a different room or in a different part of that building whilst they're using that, simply because it disrupts everything and around it. Yes, it might be exciting that you can hear words being mentioned. And, I'm not disputing those words. There's some wonderful evidence that comes through this equipment. But in my experience, I would say just to put those gadgets down, do the checks, and your ultimate tool really is your physical body and your senses. So you're wanting to be putting your attention on that. You're wanting to know how you felt before you entered the property. And then when you are in the property, you want to be observing your body, how it feels, different temperature changes, different pressures. Are you being tapped on anywhere of your physical body? Are you feeling a tense feeling in your stomach? Are you feeling a little bit disorientated, dizzy? All these things are energy trying to interact with you, trying to tell you a story in some way. So your ultimate tool really is yourself. And in order to pick up on all these different feelings, vibrations, and sensations, what you need to be doing is learn or practice to sit as a group or on your own in the silence in some of these environments and have patience there. Ideally, if you have a recorder of some kind, an audio recorder, that would be good to track any phenomena as well and pick up any disembodied voices or taps or messages that you can explore further. But in the silence, this is where you're going to get your answers. This is where you're going to hear what your physical body is picking up. You may start to hear noises. You may even see physical phenomena. But you've got to be patient. I mean, there's some investigations where you could be sat there for hours. It's freezing cold. You're listening and you're remembering some of the checks that you did earlier. So anything like the noise of a creaking floor that you ruled out earlier, if you're hearing that, you're cutting that out and you're saying, no, that's not phenomenal. So you're remembering all of that and you're just being observant. I mean, by all means, you can talk amongst your team if you have a team or if you're with a client. Please keep the client in the loop. Let them know what you're feeling, what you're picking up. Don't frighten them with the information. Just be honest, be truthful. And then what also I would like to suggest to you is to be respectful of the environment. Be respectful of the client that you're working with. Be respectful of the building as well. And if there are any spirit entities or beings there, show them that level of respect. I mean, there's many paranormal shows that I'm sure everybody has watched where they're calling out, they're shouting out abuse, they're being very disrespectful. If somebody was like that, who's just entered your building, entered your home and was talking to you like that, how would you respond? I know a lot of paranormal investigators are after a reaction. They're after footage. They're after clickbait, if you like. But wouldn't it be better to come from that place of respect? And then when you ask, it's like when you ask your child, can you do that for me, please? I'd really appreciate that. If you're a parent, they're more likely to do that and help you. Whereas if you say, put that away, obviously they're not going to do that. So it works the same way with spirit. You've got to show them that level of respect as well. And in order to get to the bottom of why this paranormal activity has been occurring within the home, if you are sensitive or you are a medium, what I certainly would advise is to obviously stay in communication with your guides and then link into the energy or the spirit being that is in that property and start to form a bond, start to have a conversation with them introduce yourself as if you would anybody in the physical realm. Introduce yourself. Let them know why you're here, and what you're about. And then ask them questions, and start to build a picture, start to build a bit of a story from them, and allow them to talk. Now, they will talk in various ways. If you're lucky enough, you may get direct communication if you're a sensitive or a medium, and they may share that story with you. If this is the case, in my experience, what I do is I say exactly what I'm being told to the client or the property owner as I'm receiving this information. And what this does, it keeps the client in the picture. It also, by vocalizing this, it allows the energy of this either trapped soul or spirit being to tell their story. And that is what they want to do. They want to be heard. They want to be known. Half of the time, that's why a lot of this phenomena has been occurring. They want that help. They want that attention. And they feel trapped. They're wanting to move on. They don't know how to. And so as a medium or a sensitive, it is your role to be that bridge, that communication bridge, so that you can be that vessel for them to communicate their story through you. And by doing this, it's going to lighten that burden, lighten that load, and take away some of that angst that they've been carrying for all this time. Those cords that maybe have attached to them and attach them to that building or property. And that's why they've remained stuck. They may have a fear about going into the light simply for being judged. And so with them communicating with you respectfully, some of them will use a few expletives, coarse language, but don't you reciprocate in that manner, because you'll be mirroring their energy. Instead, listen, be respectful. And, if it persists, you tell them off like you would a child or, anybody else. You'd say, excuse me, can you calm the language down, please? Have that level of respect. Let them share their story. And the reason why you're doing this is, again, it's almost like a spiritual counseling session. You're allowing them to have the floor. You're allowing them to speak. But with this being the case, you need to be on your guard. You need to trust your feelings, because there's a lot of spirit entities, beings out there that will use this to their advantage, to have more time with you, to maybe leech off of your energy in order for them to carry on existing in the realm that they are doing. So you need to trust the vibrations, what you're feeling whilst you're having this communication. And if you start to feel that there's something not quite right about this, even though we're hearing all these words, it doesn't feel right. Trust that intuition. And the reason why I say this, when you do feel that, this is where you cut that communication short. But what you want to be aiming for in your dialogue with a spirit being is you're wanting for them to share their story, and somewhere along the conversation you're having with them, you're wanting to heighten their vibration from where they're at that moment in their mindset, okay? A way of doing this will be to have that conversation and ask them what they love to do. What did you like doing when you was here? Did you have any family? Who was your wife? Did you love your wife? Your ultimate goal is to raise their consciousness and their vibration. So you need to have that conversation about something that they're passionate about or they love. And because they're in the flow of talking to you, they will just come out with it and tell you. And at that moment in time, in my experience, Archangel Michael comes down, and because their vibration is high enough, they come down and they take them over. They take them over to the world of spirit. They take them over. Obviously, their free will has to want to go, but the fact that they've heightened their vibration has given that opportunity for their loved ones, their friends and family in the world of spirit that has been trying to get their attention for such a long time. They have that window of opportunity to bring them over into the world of light. So in my experience, that has been the case. So it's all about being respectful, trusting your vibes, and just being more observant than perhaps you have been in the past there. Ignore what you're being told and trust your instincts. Now, as I say, in my experience, I've witnessed many unusual things and activities. In terms of orbs, yeah, I've mentioned about I've captured things where I took the photos. I even took a video and I tracked an orb moving from from right to left and then going into a wall. And upon analyzing the still footage and zooming in, it was only then that I discovered there were faces in that orb, which was beautiful because the communication that I was having with these spirits at the time was with a gentleman who was looking for his wife. He'd lost his way. So it was a bit of a soul rescue mission. But the reason why I bring this up, the face in the orb was the gentleman who I was communicating with at the time. So it was great evidence to have that happen at the same time. There's also taps and bangs that have happened on demand. So when I'm talking about on demand, I'm talking about when we have this conversation with spirit, we ask them to, if they can't communicate directly with us through a medium, then we ask them to like tap, say twice for yes, one for no. And we can engage in conversation that way with them. And so I've experienced that where they do it on demand. And that is, it still fascinates me today that they put all that energy in there and, bless them. Also, I've experienced disembodied voices of children in buildings. In one particular building was the Newsham Park Hospital in Liverpool, where they call it the Naughty Boys Corridor, I believe. You could hear children running, laughing and joking all up there. And that was just by sitting in the silence, sitting in the quiet, and being patient. That energy was there. Very playful, although there were some quite negative things occurred there, but that was a lovely encounter as well. Okay, so lastly, just ultimately trust your vibes, trust your instincts, and don't be influenced by the stories of others, their experience. Don't allow your client to tell you too much. Go in, do the checks. And last but no means least, be of service. Be of service to spirit. Be respectful. And you'll have a fantastic either paranormal investigation or soul rescue mission, should you choose to do that. Well, next we're moving into the channeled section of the show, and it's one of my favourite parts of the show where it sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to share their communications with you. And this week I'm really excited for this week's communication because it's very relevant and we can all relate to the information that spirit bring through. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but all I will say is take pen and paper, get that ready, and have a good listen to what spirit are going to say in a moment. So here is your weekly channeling.
Hello, I hope you don't mind us coming in and talking to you all today. It's a lovely pleasure to come through. Actually, we've got quite a bit to say to you, and it's all about communicating with your mind and maybe switching off from overthinking a lot of the time. What do we mean by this? Well, what we mean by this is in your day-to-day living, you will experience moments where your mind wanders, it drifts, and it goes into these voids, and you don't know where you are. You're not present, but you're drifting off in this other reality. And in fact, that's what we want to address today and tell you that you actually are connecting into another realm, another reality of existence by drifting off, losing that concentration, moving away from your present moment. So we address this, we like to bring it up because the reason for this is happening more often than not with a lot of you is the fact that you are multi-dimensional beings. And what we mean by that is you do not belong in one specific realm or reality. However, with us saying that, you are aware of your own incarnation in your life. In this very second that you're listening to this transmission, you're paying a specific attention to your incarnation, okay? So when you drift off in your mind and you wonder and you daydream. Some people call it daydreaming. But what we're proposing to you is to tell you that actually what is occurring is that you are shifting in between realities. And you're not there, you're not present, because quite literally you are not there. You're experiencing your existence in another form, in another reality. This form could be formless. So you'll be in your, shall we say, sensory mode. You'll be in your mind. You'll be picking up all the colours, the sounds, the feelings. They will become very, very prominent to you when you are in this dreamlike daydream state, when your mind wanders and it does drift. And you'll notice that it's a sense of bliss. You'll have an element of peace in there as well. And like we say, a lot of you will be going through this more often than not. And you'll be going about your daily business. You could be on a bus. You could be anywhere. You could be travelling. You could be in a conversation with somebody, listening in that conversation. And all of a sudden, your mind shifts its vibration into an alternate universe, an alternate reality. And for those split seconds, you'll be experiencing those feelings, those audibles, those visuals. And it will seem like you've been in this state of being for absolute ages, for a long amount of time. But in reality, in your earthbound incarnation, you just slipped in and out of your focus for, shall we say, a few seconds. But it will seem like ages to you. Well, the reason why we're harping on about this and letting you know about it is because, like we say, you are multiple dimensional beings, and you're not meant to exist in just one form. The form that you are in your physical body, that's just part of your, shall we say, galactic makeup. But now you're becoming more aware, and your consciousness is exploring, meandering round different realities, different realms of possibilities. Then it's going to naturally gravitate to that. And like the vehicle who's allowing us to communicate through him, as suggested many times on transmissions on his radio show, that in actual fact, any higher being consciousness or awareness will find the easiest point of resistance when it comes to communicating through, like we're doing today with this transmission. So why we bring that up is basically because when you find yourself drifting off in your mind, your consciousness is finding the least point of resistance, and it's going out on its discoveries, it's going out on its adventures, it's picking up more information so that it can bring forward back to your consciousness in your current reality. Now, we know that this sounds like we're talking in riddles and talking round in circles, but we assure you this happens to every single one of you, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. One of these prime examples is the fact that when you go to bed at night, you will go to sleep, your body will be, physical body that is, will be recharging and regenerating cells and expanding in its, shall we say, physicality, so that it can hold your energy, it can hold your vibration of your soul in there, so that that balance and that match is restored for you to continue to embrace your experience on the earthbound incarnation. However, whilst you're in this state of recharging, recalibrating the body, your soul, your essence is off on its travels. You go and visit various dimensions using, I would say, many forms of least resistance. You'll just find yourself drifting off, and then you get all these visions, all these extrasensory experiences. Some of you may have the ability, when you are back in your physical body, in your waking consciousness, will recall some of these experiences in quite lengthy detail. And you'll say, I had a wonderful dream last night. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. And there will be symbolic references to you for you to relate to in order to understand it a little bit more. But what we're suggesting to you is the fact that a dream, no, it's not a dream. You might call it a dream in your reality, but what is actually happening is you are, shall we say, leaving the physical body and you are exploring on multiple dimensions. Now, in these dimensions, there's no such thing as time restraints. You will feel other people's emotions more strongly, as well as your own. You will experience visions. You will see colours. You will hear the sounds more vivid than you will in your waking consciousness. Okay, so you'll experience all of that. And most of you that come back into the physical body after your night's rest or sleep, as you would term it, some of you feel quite exhausted. Quite, I've had all that sleep and I feel absolutely exhausted. What we're saying to you, well, you bloody should be, because you've been all over the bloody universe, haven't you? Quite rightly so. You're going to be exhausted. You've done a lot of healing work. You've not only healed your higher self, but you've helped other, shall we say, other spirit beings, other entities, if you like, to heal their higher self and their spiritual etheric body in your sleep state, as you would call it, on your earthbound incarnation. So this has been happening ever since time began, ever since you came here. You've always done it. It's just the fact that you've been switched off to being aware of it. You just take it for granted that you're going to sleep. I'm going to have a dream. But no, you are not. You are travelling. You are astral travelling. You are travelling with your essence, your soul. That's what we want to bring your attention to. And why we bring it up is obviously now, with the heightened vibrations of the universe and everything happening in synchronization, you're having more of these experiences in your waking hours. So when you, throughout the day, the course of your day, you'll find your mind meandering, drifting off, losing its attention on whatever it is you're meant to be doing. And you'll find yourself going off, or your soul will be going off on these little adventures and coming back with heightened sensory information for you to help you in this incarnation. So we wanted to raise your awareness and attention of this with this communication today, because many of you have been called lazy, idle, wake up, stop daydreaming, you're imagining things again, it's all in your imagination. You've been told that. Now that is all conditioning from society. Yes, it served a purpose to society, but it didn't serve a purpose to your higher self and your soul. So now those shackles are beginning to be removed, and thus forth you are going to have more of these experiences. You will find that your essence, your soul, your vibration will start to blend with others, their energies. You'll pick up on their experiences and their learning. Your learning is their learning is your learning, if that makes sense. It's all part of the great plan, the great collective. And so when we go on these little journeys, we not only do we expand our consciousness, we help our physical body to stay youthful. We also help our physical body to align with our higher self. It keeps us safe, it keeps us protected, it keeps us enlightened, and we will vibrate at a different level in your physical body. People will notice this. They will be drawn to you, physically and emotionally drawn to you. They won't be able to tell you why. They just feel comfortable, safe. They feel the love that they've always desired when they're around your company. This is because that you are emitting those higher vibrational frequencies. And so with that being the case, we want to make you aware of this. Okay, so be aware of it. That's all we're saying. That's all we want to tell you today, is just to be aware of it, know that it's part of the process. And when people are gravitating to you in their droves, and they will, as you continue to allow your soul to go on these little adventures, these daydreams as you would call it in your terminology, in your sleep as well, then you will notice a lot of this is occurring. These people will feel, like we say, safe in your company. They'll feel like their essence, their soul is being heightened just by sitting in your company, listening to you, observing you. You will have an energy about you that will help others. So the point of this conversation is to make you all aware of what's happening behind the scenes. And also we want you to respect the process. Don't fall short in the old terminology where people used to call it daydreaming, being lazy, being idle, going to sleep, get in the real world. That was another one that was used quite regularly by you individuals, not all of you, but most of you individuals in society. Get back in the real world, get out of dreamland and all of that. Well, that nonsense, that is what is stunting your growth emotionally, spiritually, and as a collective evolving into the truth that you've always been able to do this, and your higher potential has been squashed to keep you at grassroots level, to stop you from expanding, to stop you from recognizing the truth of who you truly are, the magnificent, multi-dimensional being that you are. You have the ability to travel beyond your earthbound incarnation. You have the ability to communicate with all manner of species, again, outer galactic species. You have that potential, but it all starts with allowing yourself to drift off in these little, shall we say, adventures in your waking hour. You'll come back feeling refreshed. You'll have a joy in your heart. You'll have a spring in your step. And for one moment, you won't feel the lower based energy that is in your, shall we say, earthbound incarnation. You won't give that a second thought. You'll be too much connected to the bliss state that you just witnessed and experienced as your soul is momentarily left your body and then returned. Like we said earlier, to you it will seem like you've been gone quite some time in this experience, but in reality, in your physical reality, your earthbound reality, you've literally been gone for seconds. You see, what we're trying to suggest to you as well is there's no such thing as time. It's all happening here and now. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Maybe if you wish, you can take some physical notes or recordings of your experiences. This will help you make understanding of what you're going through, and then you can observe how people start to flock towards you because you're heightened vibration. Well, it's been an honour and a pleasure to communicate with you today and share this wisdom and knowledge with you and draw it to your attention. In a moment, we're going to get another communicator that's going to come through and going to offer some sound healing treatment to help you align and upgrade so that you can connect on this high level. We thank you for allowing this to occur. God bless you all.
What a wonderful channeling there from the world of spirit. What beautiful communicators that came through this week as well. And the information was absolutely on point, wasn't it? Because I'm sure we can all agree we've all been there at some point where we've drifted in and out of our waking consciousness. And I didn't realize that that was what was happening. There was multiple dimensional traveling there. So that was wonderful to hear that put in that way as well. Also, it would make sense with us linking with that peace and our inner peace, as well, as that is what we're doing in that moment, and bringing forward some information for us to interact into our reality that we focus our attention on, wherever that may be. So that was really interesting. Also fascinating to find out that about the astral traveling as well, and of course the sound healing. I don't know about anybody else, but I got chills when upon listening back to that, and I could feel that energy tingling right through my entire body as well. And I did feel a little bit more heightened in the terms of my vibration after interacting with it. So I hope that's had some sort of effect and impact on you guys that are listening as well, and helps you in some small way or form there. So next we're moving into your forecast reading, which is for this week, and this is where I pull a tarot card, link with my spirit guides, and bring through the channeled information for you to help you navigate your way through the course of this week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your weekly forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for Monday the 17th of October 2022. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I channel the wisdom from my spirit guides and helpers, and also I look into the inspirations from the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do now is shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out at random, and they're all wanting to come out today, so let's try again, shall we? Okay, right, that's better. So we've got your card for this week. Here's your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the energy of that card and see what it says for you. Straight away, I'm being told to tell you that this week will see you putting your thoughts, your inspirations into action now. You've been contemplating lots of things over the up and coming weeks, and now's the right time for you to start taking action upon the inspirations and that information that has been given to you, that's been percolating in the back of your mind there. Also, I feel that you will, if you don't express this information, if you don't put it into action, those of you that aren't will start to feel this energy building up, and you'll feel fit to burst. You'll notice that your body will start to clam up. You may also receive having migraines or headaches, and this is because this energy is wanting to be birthed into physical reality. So trust and allow that energy to work through you and bring whatever it is into form. I also feel with you that there's going to be a lot of emotions that come to the surface as you go through this process. When I say this, I'm talking about letting go of old versions of yourself that have served you up until this point, but moving forward don't deserve or will not have a place in your life anymore. So it's almost as if this week will be a very exciting week for you, but there will be an element of grieving as well, grieving for that old version of yourself that's never going to be around anymore. Like I said earlier, show that level of gratitude for it has led you to where you are at now in your life as well. And notice that this week people will be attracted to you for whatever reason. You'll just notice that more people will be illuminated by your physical presence, by your energetic presence. There will just be more of a magnetic attraction to you this week. So watch out for that occurring. Now, I'm not necessarily referring to romantic stirrings. I mean, that is in the mix, obviously. But I'm also referring to people being attracted to your light, to your wisdom, to your kindness, to your generosity, and also the truth of who you are. Your higher self is now blending with your physical being, and people are starting to recognize that and link into that vibration. So watch out for that as well. There's also going to be periods in this week where you're going to be in deep contemplation, and you're going to be thinking about how you can make amends and make things better, improve parts of your life so that you are feeling in alignment, so that life is flowing with ease and with grace. Because since the beginning of this year, is what I'm being told, there have been several roadblocks that have stopped you from flowing to your full potential. However, this week, like I said earlier, you will feel that abundance of energy building up, and you won't be able to hold on to it any longer. You'll have to birth these new ideas into form. So let's turn over the card and go through that with you. At the top of the card, it reads 3 of air. So I'd like to give you the angel number of number 3 to go and research, as I feel that will give you some additional support and information. Of air, to me, air represents the thinning of the veil between this world, the physical world, and the non-physical world, the world of energy, the world of spirit. So that veil is going to be lifted, and you're going to be more inspired, more in tune with, like I say, your higher self, and also the spiritual energy that is around you every single moment of every single day. You're going to be more aware of that. At the bottom of the card, it reads sorrow, forgiveness, and healing. What I feel this represents is it's connecting to what I said earlier about the grieving process, having to let go of elements of who you were in order for you to move forward. It has served you very strongly in order to get you to this position in your life. However, now it does not serve any more purpose in your life other than giving you the gift of allowing yourself to show gratitude for it, and also to heal it, to let it go, to show that element of love and let it go, and trust as well. There's also, as you can see around the edge of the card into the artwork, we've got the colour of blue. So to me, that indicates the throat chakra and communication as well. Also linking in with your emotions. So make sure that you are expressing yourself clearly to those around you. Don't hold back. Otherwise, like I said earlier, you will experience getting headaches, feeling burnt up inside and feeling supercharged and fit to burst. So it is a priority that you must get this energy off your chest and communicate clearly, whether this is in person, over the phone, or electronically as well. Make sure that your intentions are pure, clear, and recognized by all parties involved. Now, in the artwork there, as you can see, we've got 3 individuals. We've got a feminine energy at the front, and we've got a masculine and feminine angelic being behind her there. There's 3 swords on the artwork as well. So I feel as though the swords are referring to 3 elements of yourself that you're going to have to cut the cords and let go in order for you to proceed forward with confidence and with love and with ease and with grace now. The feminine energy is referring to your sensitivity and also acknowledging that, showing that level of gratitude, but also showing that when you do need to let those tears come forward, those sorrows, and also those emotions that you've been harboring, then you should trust that and take that intuition forward and allow it to flow through you in order for it to be healed. You're going to be safe and supported, as you can see in the artwork, by a masculine and feminine angelic being there. And both of them are looking very supportive in connection with the lady in the picture there. Both have got wisdom, as you can see. You can see a nice halo around the head, as you would expect. So they're going to bring forward some divine masculine and feminine energies for you to, in order for you to recalibrate and listen to that inner truth. Now, the feminine energy is resting because her wings are facing down there as well. So the feminine energy is allowing you to rest, allowing you to understand the sensitive nature of who you are and to bring that element forward. Where the masculine energy for this week, the masculine angel there, is that element of leadership, that element of releasement, that element of charging forward and moving forward. So it's a combination this week of balancing, letting go of the old, and embracing the new, and you'll be guided and supported by the angelic realm as you go out through this week, through this process as well. So that's what I'm picking up for this week's energy forecast reading. I do hope the information is aligned with you and will help you throughout the course of this week. So thank you for liking, hearting, commenting and sharing. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen on here today and you would like a one-to-one private reading with myself, or indeed if you'd like a 12-month recorded forecast reading for yourself, then you can contact me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can find me and contact me on Facebook at Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. And so it'd be wonderful to get that interaction from you. For those of you that do like listening to radio shows about self-help, the paranormal, all things spiritual, and getting in alignment, then you can find me on pulsetalkradio.com at 4 p.m. every Monday, and that's Greenwich Mean Time, 4 p.m. every Monday, and the show is called From Beyond with Glenn Boddice. And so it would be wonderful to have you on board with the show there, and hopefully the information that comes through will help you align and you'll seek benefit from doing that. In the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and sending all my love, blessings and healing to you and your family. God bless and take care. Thank you. There's certainly a lot for us to look forward to for this week, isn't there? Particularly paying attention to letting go of the old version of ourselves that's no longer aligning with us. That was very interesting, I thought. And also the fact that we're going to be attracting the right people as well, because we're aligning with our higher self. So I found that quite fascinating. I'm going to look out for that this week, and I hope that you do too as well. So what I'd like to do is invite you all that are interested to come and interact with the show by sending me a message to www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or at my email address, glennboddice@live.co.uk. Because it would be wonderful to hear from you, any show suggestions, any ideas, or indeed if you have any stories to tell about your paranormal encounters or self-development encounters for that matter, or even just your own evolution, evolving into a higher being within your physical reality as well. It'd be wonderful to have that interaction with you. And as ever, I appreciate everybody that takes the time out of their week to listen to the show. And I do hope the information that is divinely inspired by my spirit guides and helpers has helped you in some way look at things slightly differently, has helped you navigate your way through your week of this week. And also, I do hope that it's inspiring you to live the best version of yourself that you can in your now moments, and taking the ownership of your own truth and your own power as you do that as well. So I'd like to wish you a wonderful week ahead, whatever it is you're doing. And thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to your company, same place, same time next week. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium